We seek His assistance, His guidance, and forgiveness. And we take refuge in Him from the evil within our souls and from the consequence of our misdeeds. Whoever Allah gives guidance to, none can mislead, and whoever He misleads, none can guide. I bear witness that there is nothing and no one worthy of worship besides Allah alone. He has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, peace and blessings be upon him, is His servant and messenger. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him peace and to extend him our salutations on this special day, just as we ask him to grant peace to his family members, to his companions, and all of those who follow in goodness and practice in goodwill, or practice goodwill, into the meeting and the reckoning with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us in His glorious book, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ما أصاب من مصيبة في الأرض ولا في أنفسكم إلا في كتاب من قبل أن نبرأها إن ذلك على الله يسير. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, not a single affliction strikes you to yourselves, nor in the earth, nor to yourselves, except that it is already recorded in a book or in a record before it is brought into being. Indeed, that is easy for God. لكي لا تأسوا على ما فاتكم ولا تفرحوا بما آتاكم والله لا يحب كل مختال فخور. The reason is so that you will not become overly grieved by what passes you by, nor did you become overjoyed by that which comes to you. For Allah does not love any conceited, boastful person. He does not love any conceited, boastful person. This idea or the reality of hope and of fear, they exist for every person. We are hopeful for the future, but at times we are fearful of the future. We are sad about the past and what we have missed, what has passed us by, and we become overjoyed, joyful or overjoyed at times about the blessings that we achieve in this life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in this verse that regardless of any given situation, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has full knowledge of it. And He let you know that He has full knowledge of it so that you don't become too excited about the blessings you achieve. And that you don't become too depressed or sad about the things that pass you by. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a wisdom in all of it. He has a wisdom in all of it. Fear, of course, would be the overwhelming emotion that many Muslims are experiencing in the world today. Not only in this country, but in the world. Because when we reflect upon the plight of Muslims around the world, well, let's say not everywhere, but in many places in the Muslim world, that we find that they live under much more severe conditions than we do or could imagine that we would ever be living under. But fear is something which has afflicted or stricken many people. And as believers in the Quran, and as followers of Muhammad ﷺ, we always have to return back to our tradition to see if there is any wisdom that we can take or glean from it, which can help us to deal with our situations. Because if we reflect upon the current state of affairs, with what we call Islamophobia, and what we call the fear of the future in a world under the presidency of a Donald Trump, as many Muslims are fearful, that if it is true that the reason that we are being persecuted is because of being Muslim, and because of Islam. That we ourselves need to understand what is it that is so valuable about our religion. Because we definitely place value on it. And my hope would be that we are not just simply cultural Muslims, that we just simply like to identify with being Muslims. Rather, there's something extremely valuable about being a Muslim and valuable about Islam. And if you truly understand that, then you won't be overwhelmed by fear. You won't be overwhelmed by anxiety. But of course, at the same time, you're not also presumptuous in thinking that you just simply are prepared for everything, that we ought to prepare for the future, regardless of the situation. But we have to be people of courage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, at times, He speaks about the nature of the world, or the world itself as a battleground between the forces, or demonic and angelic forces. And there are armies, there are factions that exist. Some are allies of others. The believers are allies of the believers. The non-believers, allies of the non-believers. The forces of evil, the allies of one another. And the forces of good, the allies of one another. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks about this world at times. And refers to the people who are the allies of His religion, the allies of faith in Him, as His awliya, as His allies, as His friends. And He says about His friends, Inna awliya Allah la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. Indeed, the friends, the allies of God, upon them shall be no fear, nor shall they experience sadness. If you are a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that will be your state in the future, in the hereafter, we know. But in this particular verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to say, in describing who His allies are, He says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. Those who have faith, those who believe, and they are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they keep their duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. So when He says to them, they have good news, not only in the hereafter, they have good news in this world and in the hereafter. لَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. In this life and in the hereafter. So if you are truly committed to Allah and to His message, and the message of His messenger, alayhi salam, then this would become your state. Of course, if you are informed. And when we think about the issue of fear, or what we are afraid of, then there fundamentally are three things that I guess you could say will be the worst that could happen to any given people. And one could be that someone be imprisoned, or someone could be deported, or someone could be killed. And this fundamentally is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He outlines in the Quran, and He talks about those people who are hostile to His religion, and hostile to those who are adherents to His faith. And He says, وَإِذْ يَمْكُرُ بِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيُثْبِتُوكَ أَوْ يَقْتُلُوكَ أَوْ يُخْرِجُوكَ فَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. And reflects and remember when those who rejected faith, meaning those who were fighting against the Muslims, those who were openly hostile to Islam and to the Muslims, remember when those who rejected faith, they plotted لِيُثْبِتُوكَ in order to imprison you, or يَقْتُلُوكَ or kill you, or يُخْرِجُوكَ or to deport you, to expel you. وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ. They plan and Allah plans. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. And Allah is the best of planners. Allah is the best of planners. That is to say that all we need to do is to put our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to commit ourselves to His religion and His teachings. Then Allah is going to handle everything else. He's going to handle everything else. That we have to dig into the Quran. We have to dig into the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We have to rediscover what is valuable about being a believer, what is valuable about Islam. So that is to say, there's a lot of work to do as Muslims. That we have, some work is spiritual work. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Allah is with those who are of taqwa and they do good. That Allah, there's spiritual work that needs to be done. That we need to recommit ourselves, make tawbah, repent from our sins. That if there are people discriminating against us, then we have to make sure that we're not discriminating against others. Because at times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us through the actions of others. That He teaches us what we should not do. When we find ourselves experiencing this type of anxiety. There's a lot of spiritual work that needs to be done. But then there's also some psycho-emotional work. And then there's also some socio-political work which is necessary in order for us to deal with the future. For one, I would say that, and this is from the wisdom of our religion, the wisdom of the ancients that I'm mentioning here. First and foremost, that we ourselves need to adjust to not getting what we want. That's one of the first things from this world, that we did learn to adjust to not having what we want all the time, especially. And so it is said that one of the wise people of the past had said, "Ish'al ma talabtuhu min ad-dunya falam tanalhu mithla ma la takhturu bi balika falam taqulhu." He said, you should make what you seek from this world and do not acquire equivalent to those things that you never think of, and thereafter you don't have to say them. Make what you seek of this world and did not acquire equal to what you have not even thought of before and have never stated. That is to say that means the dunya is nature, is that it is a fluctuation, it is an influx. You have it sometimes, and other times you don't have it. So we have to learn to adjust to not having all the time. That is one thing. A second thing is that we have to develop courage. Develop courage concerning what the future holds. Courage to take on the future. And understand that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. If anything, the absence of fear, we call that recklessness. If a person doesn't have fear and you just simply plunge into the midst of the army, right? 1,000 to 1, right? Guaranteed suicide. Then we just call that being reckless or even stupid. Like, that's an absence of fear. You want to prove that you are afraid of anything. That in itself is recklessness. That courage fundamentally means to overcome or to face your fears. Is to not allow it to petrify you, to make you stand still and do nothing at all. Courage to take on those challenges. Courage is for you to be ready to defend yourselves if necessary and your families. That your family should not believe or feel that you are not ready to die for them if necessary. As you're not ready to defend them. That your wives shouldn't feel that way about you, that you are just simply a coward. Not that being a coward makes you not a believer. But fundamentally, courage, it means to take on this sort of task, that you face your fears and you overcome those anxieties. That we have to develop the courage. Al-Hasan al-Basri is recorded as having said, "La tahmilanna ala yawmika hamma ghadik." He said, do not carry on your day or your today the concern of tomorrow. Do not carry on your today the concern of your tomorrow. فَحَسْبُ كُلِّ يَوْمٍ هَمُّ. Because the concern, every day has its own concern, and that is sufficient. The concern of any given day is sufficient. Don't carry your concern of tomorrow, don't carry upon your day the concern of tomorrow. That doesn't mean don't plan. But again, we're constantly worried about what will happen tomorrow, when tomorrow may be the end of our lives to begin with. And if we have not committed ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and committed ourselves to reform, then what does it really mean at the end of the day? Because this is where everybody's returning ultimately. That everyone will die, everyone bleeds, everyone can be killed, right, at any given moment. And this is one thing everybody has to understand in the world, not only Muslims but non-Muslims too, that this is our state, that all of us are going to return to Allah, to God, the Almighty, one day, and we'll be judged. A third point is that patience. We have to develop patience regarding what we hope to happen in the future. That we develop a patience, that is to say, or develop patience regarding what we fear may happen in the future. That we have to brace ourselves and prepare ourselves for what may potentially happen in the future. I don't believe that things will be extreme as we imagine them to be. Right? Personally, I don't believe that. But still, of course, that we should be prepared, that we tie our camels, and then we leave the rest in Allah's hands. That's an important part of it. A fourth thing is that we need to embrace, we had to develop a type of endurance regarding hardship that may come. The Prophet ﷺ, he reminded us of the nature of this world, and he talked about how the similitude of himself and the similitude of this world is as a rider, كَمَثَلِ رَاكِبٍ, like a rider who actually, who مَالَ إِلَى ظِلِّ شَجَرَةٍ فِي يَوْمٍ صَائِفٍ, who inclined or reclined into the shade of a tree during an extremely hot day, and then he rested and he got up and left. That this is the nature of this world. Remind yourselves of that. That this world can be for you today, tomorrow is for someone else. That's just the way it is. Some people died today. Some died yesterday. And then today could be your turn. And it can happen at any given moment. Don't be deceived by your health. Don't be deceived by your wealth. Because you can lose your wealth. You can lose your health. You can lose your health. You can lose your life. Don't be deceived by your youth. That there's so many things that can be the basis of our deception. We need to remember that complaining too much itself oftentimes can lead to impatience. It can lead to overreaction. It can lead to depression. And for this particular reason, and I'm not saying that Muslim organizations complain necessarily, but I receive care alerts pretty much every single day in my email, one or two of them. But you know what? Most of the time I just simply delete them. Because I say I have enough anxiety in my life. I don't want to continue to hear about how many masajid got attacked, how many Muslim sisters got attacked, or whatever. Yeah, I understand that you need to be careful. But you know what? All right, I have enough anxiety. Now we have to be very careful of this, that we constantly feed ourselves these never-ending sort of currents of news about how bad things are for the Muslims, right? And when we complain so much, it can lead to a type of impatience and a type of depression even. It can lead to overreaction as well towards other people. So we have to be very careful of what we feed ourselves and also what we feed our children when it comes to that. That we have to avoid despair. That we have to realize that hopelessness about the improvement of the future also is something which will deepen depression. That we can't be people of despair. Don't be the people of despair. Right? What's happened has happened. Trump is president. Okay, move on. Don't focus and dwell on the past. Let's think about what we can do for now. Focus on what you can do for now, for yourself and for your family. But I believe as well that when we think about some of the, among the social political things that we can do, that we have to have relationships with those in our surroundings. That we have to have relationship with our local politicians. That this is just something on the national level, but we don't understand what's happening locally, then it's even harder for us to protect ourselves. We have to understand what is going on in our environment. And I want to end this, and there's much more I could say, but I do want to conclude with a reminder that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he had given to one of the young Sahaba who once was riding along with him, and he said to him, Ya Ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat. Young boy, my son, I will teach you some words. Ihfadillah ihfadka. Keep Allah, He will keep you. If you keep Allah, if you guard God, He will guard you. احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. Keep Allah, and you will find Him in front of you. فإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله. And when you seek assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإذا سألت فاسأل الله. And when you ask for something, ask it from Allah. And when you seek assistance from Allah. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ إِنْ اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَنْفَعُوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَنْفَعُوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ لَكَ. And know that any nation, any group of people, if they happen to come to bring benefit to you, if they gather together to bring benefit to you, they will only bring benefit to you to the extent that Allah has decreed will come to you. وَلَئِنْ اجْتَمَعُوا عَلَيْهِ يَضُرُّوكَ لَمْ يَضُرُّوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ. And if they are to gather together to bring harm to you, they will only bring harm to you to the extent that Allah has already decreed will come to you. وَرُفِعَتِ الْأَقْلَامِ وَجَفَتِ الصُّحُفِ. The pens have been lifted and the pages are dry. The pens have been lifted and the pages are dry. And in another narration of the Prophet ﷺ, he goes on, he says, احفظ الله تجده أمامك. Keep Allah, you will find Him before you. تعرف إلى الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. Become acquainted with Allah during times of ease. Get to know God during times of ease. He will recognize you during times of adversity. So if you're not getting to know Allah during times of ease, because if you say that January 20th, 2017 is when hardship is going to begin, if you believe that, then you better becoming acquainted with Allah right now, right? Become acquainted with Allah during times of ease. He will recognize you during times of adversity. He will recognize you then. And we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recognizes us and come to our support at all times to protect us from the harm of anyone who means it to us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات واغفر لنا اللهم معهم بفضلك وإحسانك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصيبات الدنيا ومتعنا بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا وانصرنا على من عادانا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا تسلط علينا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا ولا تسلط علينا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا ولا تسلط علينا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار وسلم تسليما كثيرا. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة فإن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.